never been here. Okay, perfect. So for the people who are new out here, of the whole discussion here. So let's ask for Manan to coordinate for Khara. Perfect. Thank you so much, friends.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for waiting. Sorry for the delay. Um, I first, yeah, introduction. My name is Konstantin Papadimitriou, or my nickname is Kiki. I'm from Jakarta, Indonesia. It's the first time I've been in India. I arrived yesterday. Surprisingly, very similar to Jakarta, but the traffic is worse back home. So you got something going here at least. But the city is very similar. People are friendly. Hey, by the way, we have seats up front if you want to get closer. It's on YouTube, so people don't think that nobody's attending. Anyway, so I'm glad to be here. I will be talking about our product, Pundi X, and I'm very happy to have Harish from Block Capital Management with me, who will provide more insights on blockchain and cryptocurrency globally, right, as well as in India. Harish?
Thanks, Kiki. Hi, guys. This is Havish. I run blockchain capital management, and I'm based in Bombay, but I moved headquarters to London. We have a team working so we could get started by introducing ourselves, like why we got in this space, who we are, um, a little bit of background about our firm, and then we can directly get into a very broad discussion about crypto economics, blockchain, and in general what's going on in the market, Indian regulations, in general where the world is headed with crypto economy. And if you have any questions, feel free to jump in the between. We really want to keep it open, so we don't want, like, you have to ask questions only at the end of the game. You could ask even in between. You can ask whenever you feel like. So don't feel the pressure to ask questions only at the end. Just raise your hands. We'll get back to you. So okay. So why don't we start with your background,
Okay, sure.
who you are, why you started Pundi X, what do you do?
Okay. I've been doing fintech basically since year 2000, so around 17 years. Young. Uh, I used to do e-banking, still do e-banking for bank payment gateway. I own a payment gateway in Indonesia, biller gateway, and also e-money. So I got introduced to blockchain 6 months ago, not long ago. So I'm also still learning, like you guys probably. And it caught my interest so far. Like whatever I've been doing seems boring to me compared to blockchain and cryptocurrency. So I'm really interested in this area. So we had an e-money app similar to Alipay in Indonesia. It has like almost 200,000 users. It started 2.5 years ago called Pundi. So 6 months ago, 7 months ago, we have this idea of, why is it so difficult to purchase cryptocurrency? So we came up with an idea. We came up with a device. And luckily, I mean, we were very lucky. It has been received very well by the public. Pre-ICO, extended ICO sold out. Now we're doing our ICO soon. So that's a bit background about how Pundi X started. Hey, go ahead. ICO is initial coin offering. It's similar to IPO, like where you invest and then you get equity. But ICO is a new way of crowdfunding, where you contribute your investment in terms of cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. And then you receive a new token, coins or tokens, which hopefully will appreciate in value in time when it gets listed, hopefully. Does that answer your question? So that's a bit about me. So I'm also still learning about ICO, but I can share you the process. I can share you where we are right now. Anybody know about Pundi X already by show of hands? One guy? Oh, thank you so much. This one? Okay, so all right. Go ahead, Harish.
Okay, so a little bit background about myself. I come from a typical finance background. I've worked for investment banks like Barclays, Morgan Stanley. So I come from a typical financial services background, worked for a few investment banks as well as a hedge fund. What I see disruption coming in. Blockchain-based asset digitization has become possible via this particular crypto economy / tokens. I grew up in Calcutta. Always wanted to do something big. So for me, as a high school student, doing something big was to enroll in a leading university. So went to US, worked, got education at a good school. At the same school, I got introduced to the global economics, financial economics. It attracted me because of the impact people can make in the economics division of any banks. After that, I just joined one of these banks, worked for a few hedge funds. What I saw was financial services right now is very divided in every country, regulated according to the local needs. What crypto economy is doing is the crypto economy is making the world more connected and making the world more global. This has happened due to blockchain. Blockchain is nothing more than building a system where you don't need anyone's trust. You cannot tamper it as an individual. And most importantly, it's transparent. So the idea behind blockchain really is, for example, there is a central authority that holds all your records. Now, who you are, what you do, is held by one person, and that's your identity. But what if that central authority, the identity they have of yours, gets lost, gets corrupt? Which means now you never existed. It could happen with your land, it could happen with your identity, it could happen with any of your assets. A central party is holding the records of all your assets, identity. If it gets corrupt, if it gets lost, anything happens, your assets never existed, your identity never existed, and it's gone within a snap because things got corrupt. What blockchain does is it disrupts one thing, and that's called trust. You don't need anyone's trust to store your asset. Now, this asset could be identity, this asset could be data. This whole concept blew my mind. Like, this is really cool. This has many, many use cases all across the spectrum. But specifically, me coming from financial services background, it attracted me because I see digitization of assets. And once you digitize assets, you can go global, which at the moment is not possible. And I'll give you a little more example of what I mean by digitization of assets and how it is going global. But that's the real disruption, because what it is doing, it is bringing the world more closer. When it brings the world more closer, regulations will come in, but regulations come after, technology comes first. So which is what happened with the internet, cybersecurity, cyber police, whatnot. All of these people came lost. First came the internet, then came the connections, and then came the regulators. So same thing happened with the IPO industry. So when someone invented the so-called initial public offerings and they launched the IPO in the market, first came the IPO methodology, and then people saw, oh, too many frauds are being happening in the securities industry. Now we need someone to police it. That's why we had SEC in the US, SEBI in India, and the point being, first comes the technology, the method, and people, and then comes the regulators to make the system and the methods more robust and comprehensive. So what we do is, at Blockchain Capital Management, we manage a diverse portfolio of such cryptocurrencies and crypto assets. This could or could not involve some leading prominent cryptocurrencies, as well as we have short-term trading strategies to manage this diversified portfolio. So that's pretty much it about myself, what attracted me about blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Maybe we could talk a little bit about the Pundi X product here. And then we could jump to the general crypto economy and
Sure.
where it's headed. So why don't you tell me, Kiki,
Sure.
why did you come up with this idea, or what? So when people start a startup, one thing they are trying to do is solve a problem. What problem you saw, and you were motivated by, this is the problem I'm trying to solve?
Yeah. So maybe again by a show of hands, so I can read people's. How many of you own cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or any other? Okay, so a lot.
A lot of people.
Lot. That's good. What do you use it for? Is it like for investment, trading? Do you use it for anything else other than that? So, okay, that's okay, good. Trading, right? So mostly, sorry. Okay, okay. So as a first time, I went through this also. As a first time buyer of crypto, it's not so easy, right? Not so easy for me at least. Still not easy, right? You need to create an account at the exchange. That's not that hard, right? It's like creating an email address. You need to deposit your money, and then you can see your value grow up and down. And then but comes the difficult part when you want to transfer out or transfer in. You need to create your private address in my Ether wallet, somewhere else if you have other coins. It's not so easy for a regular person. In fact, some people ask me, hey, I want to invest in Bitcoin. Can you buy it for me? Right? So I have their Bitcoins and they don't know where it is. Just kidding. So Pundi X is trying to solve that problem for common people. So we came up with a device. I will show you soon. This is our first model. We have 3 models. Let me just fire it up. Okay. So this is the device. It's like a regular POS, right? Where you can buy and sell cryptocurrency very easily. Each of you will get 2 cards. The white one is a security card where the private key, access to private key is allowed. And for regular use is the black card. Okay. So all your balance in crypto will be kept. This is like a cold storage, like Trezor or Nano S, for those who are familiar with that, in your card. If you lose this, then it's okay also, as long as you don't lose both of them at the same time. Okay. So let me show you how to buy Bitcoin, for example, compared to the way you have been doing it all this time.
So is this multi-currency or just one cryptocurrency?
It's many different currency. Right now, we are listing the three top currency: Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. Right? But sorry, go ahead. Soon, soon. So we have cooperated with Stellar Lumens, with NEM Foundation, with Achain from China, and one more I forgot. Quantum, sorry. Okay, Qtum, right? So all four will be listed here definitely. But the altcoins really like us because now there is a use case for them, right? Before I was asking the audience, what do you use it for? Just buy and sell, investment tool. But when is it going to happen? When can I be able to pay using it? When can I do something with it, right? So with this device, all the altcoin have at least one new use case to be able to be used for transaction. Transaction can be anything. Pay your bills, bill payment, can be purchased at the store, purchase a bottle of water, or purchase another crypto. Okay, so
So how is it different from my first question is, how is it different from 10x, which does something similar to this?
okay,
And second, when you swipe it, um, which local currency you have enabled? Is it like Visa, where you can, or is it like any particular specific currency you're talking about? Like how does this work?
good
Currencies
question.
involved, like which geographic community can use it, and like what's your vision about how you plan to expand?
Thanks, Harish. Good question. There are other payments-based crypto like 10x, BitPay, some other. Somehow I forgot the name. Maybe nervous. But they're all Monaco. Sorry, they're all based on Visa and Mastercard platform, right? If you read the news a few days ago, Visa, Mastercard closed down all the access to crypto cards. So their share plummets because there is no, I mean, their cards are useless now, right? So fortunately, Pundi X doesn't have that problem because we are building our own independent network, Harish. So actually, you can call it good news for us because now it is shown that our solution can really work. And in fact, we would like to ask 10x Monaco now to use our network, right? So they can get a commitment that it will not be shut down. Right? So why Visa and Mastercard shut down? I don't really know, but the rumor is either it's competing with fiat currency, which is Visa and Mastercard business. They want to protect their business, or two, they want to make their own cryptocurrency. So I don't really know the answer. So that's what's different. We are trying to be, I don't know, let's call it the Visa of cryptocurrency. That's our dream. Yes. But first, I will answer his second question. What was it? Sorry. Okay.
How do you see people adopting it? Which geographic region?
Oh, you were asking about currency now, I remember, right? So, sorry. Each software, this is a hardware, right? Anybody can make this hardware. It's an NFC hardware. So what's important is the software, right? Software, so we deploy for India, for example, a rupee-based version. For Indonesia, it's rupiah-based version. But or in all version, you can opt to use USD if you want. This is important in like touristic place where they accept USD.
So basically, your answer is you plan to expand.
Of course.
Okay. So my second question is when the transactions are actually happening, right? When you have, say, Monero in your card, um, and you're trying to buy INR. So where you're trying to buy rupees,
Okay.
right? Where does the transaction actually happen? Do you need a local exchange to partner with you to be able to buy that INR for you? Or how do you sell it? Like when the transaction is happening from Monero is being converted to INR for you for a user to be able to pay for whatever commodity he's trying to buy, he or she is trying to buy.
Okay.
Where does the card actually sell the cryptocurrency to be able to get that fiat currency? So where does that transaction is happening? Is it one of the local exchanges, just like Indonesia has so many of them, or is it some magic?
So actually, the ideal situation is we have one exchange for each currency, right? So for
So you need an exchange for that.
I do need an exchange
Right.
because we are not an exchange yet. So we work with exchanges. So ideally for rupee, we have working with one exchange who has the rupee conversion, right? But that's not necessary because we can work with one like Coinbase or HitBTC in USD, but then we have to take into account the conversion rate from USD to rupee.
Yeah, the FX rates could be very expensive if you're
Right.
trying to go from Monero to USD
Right.
and USD to INR.
So the default initially when we launch is USD, the base currency.
Right,
And then it will be
later then you
converted.
can go to local
Exactly.
exchanges. But in the beginning, just to get things rolling, you try to buy it. Okay, first I have cryptocurrency, then I'll go to USD, then I'll come back to INR, which could be a little expensive for the end user. But in the longer run, when you are dealing with local exchanges and the markets are more matured, this product could be much more helpful because everyone will be holding a large amount of cryptocurrencies, assumingly in their portfolio for investment or many other purposes.
Exactly. So let me show. Go ahead. No, Pundi X will connect to the exchange for you. So any store owner just you know fire it up. You just need Wi-Fi and you can start buy, sell, payment, etc. No, it's all parameterized. Basically, we will give the flexibility of the store owner to set the like VAT is by country, of course, right? If you want to set the VAT, there is a parameter for that. So we try to comply with the law. And also transaction fees for you, for the store that has this device, right? So for example, in Bali, in Indonesia, right? Tourists, when they run out of money, they want to sell their Bitcoin. So if you have this device, they can sell to you. The common rate is, for example, 3%, right? So all that commission is for the people who holds this POS. Now the question, go ahead. Yes, the roadmap will change because the regulation changed so fast. But to be honest, we will focus more first on crypto-friendly countries. India, I think the situation is similar to Indonesia. The regulation, correct me if I'm wrong. Government allows buy and sell. Government allows exchanges, but there has been no rate to the exchange in Indonesia yet. In India, it happened, right?
Yeah, so it's not like government allows, but it's not even like government doesn't allow. So it's not legalized, but it's not illegalized as well. So it's like hanging in between. Um, a committee under the finance ministry, Mr. Arun Jaitley, they are looking into to see what exactly to be done with this. It's a team from people from economic affairs, Niti Aayog, and a bunch of people who are trying to understand the short-term and long-term impact, or whether this is currency, commodity, security. How do you actually term it so that you know which category do you put in? And once you put in that category, that's how you will be able to regulate it. If it's a currency, it comes under the FEMA laws. If it's commodity, it's like another laws, depending upon like how you classify it. Um, that's how you will be able to regulate it. But at the moment, the government is torn. They're still looking into what exactly to do with it. But yeah, like there's a huge enthusiasm in the country. A lot of people are coming up with their own ideas. I just read this morning, um, Ambani Group. So Reliance is also looking into it. Akash Ambani, Mr. Ambani's son, he's planning on starting his own cryptocurrency called GeoCoin. So there's a huge enthusiasm in the market. There are many exchanges that are popping up. There have been huge ICOs like Bit India, I guess. They raised what, like $250 million or more than that as a seed funding. So there's a huge enthusiasm in the community. We definitely see the government will be supportive of it. They wouldn't be banning it like, I hope so, like China. But we'll see where this goes. And I'm sure the Indian government will be very supportive of innovation and tech disruption globally.
Oh, the security, yes, yes. It's on blockchain. The safety, again, this intrigues me, right? I just learned this recently also. Why do you need cryptocurrency, right? You have e-money, you have QR payment already. Why do you need crypto, right? So this intrigues me because blockchain is needed. Actually, one of the first usage is so there is no double transaction, right? I mean, it happens to me a few times in banking, right? Well, like if you use internet mobile banking, you click something twice, you bought something twice, right? So blockchain was created first to address this, so there is no double transaction, right? And then something like, oh, you send money to me, right? But I said, I don't accept it, although I do, right? Or I told you that I send you some money, please check your account. Actually, I didn't send it, right? So things like this cannot happen if you use blockchain, right? So it's cold, totally cold, right? But there is a mobile app also, so you can bind this card to our mobile app. So from the mobile app, then you can do the transaction. Important thing is don't lose this one. All right. Yeah, good question. So we are not replacing the regular ADC, right? The regular POS. It handles fiat currency. We are not doing that yet because also the process of visa verification will take a long time and we'll be launching probably 2 years from now. So existing EDC is still there. You can still use cash if the store takes cash. So you just pay the cash to the store owner with your debit card, credit card, cash, mobile payment, whatever, right? Later on, we will settle with the merchant. So the merchant becomes Pundi X merchant. There will be plus and minus, right? In terms of rupee or in terms of crypto. Now depends on the store. Do they want to accept all in rupee or some whatever in rupee, whatever in coin? Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Yes. At the moment, yes. But again, there are third parties that we can work with, right? For example, now there is a cryptocurrency bank, right? So if there is a bank, then we can work with them. Like 10x Monaco also, is an issuer, right? We can also work with them. So we would like to be the payment processor, like just like Visa in crypto. Sure, good question. We will have some. Uh, we will purchase our own like daily volume of with whatever coin listed here, right? So we can guarantee transaction within 60 seconds or less from our what do you call it, reserve. On the cryptocurrency side, yes, but not on the real fiat money side. Right. The exchange will also help us with liquidity of the coin. Okay, good question again. You don't. The answer is you don't replace it. It complements it, right? So whatever you're accepting now, you still accept. Plus, now you can accept cryptocurrency with this device, right? But Harish,
I can actually answer that question a little. So that's not a question just focused on this particular device. That's actually a very fundamental question. What you're asking. What we imagine, what we are seeing in the market is millennials today, they are not investing, or the general intensity, if you talk about leading countries such as South Korea and the US, millennials, instead of investing in your traditional assets such as mutual funds, pension funds, um, gold, uh, they are seeing the returns they like in cryptocurrencies. Um, they want to invest in ICOs, which are essentially how a lot of blockchain startups, which has a token utilization or security, raise value from a crowdsourced funding market. Um, so the answer is, why would a shopkeeper would be using a Pundi X or any such similar company devices such as 10X is because of the demand in the market. The demand is that the millennials, we imagine, and the larger spectrum of people will be using um, cryptocurrencies and will be storing value instead of mutual funds, pension funds, gold. They will be storing value in cryptocurrency. So when they store value in cryptocurrency, for instance, me, I'm a millennial. Most of my assets is in cryptocurrencies. So I would rather be buying my real estate, my even groceries, wine, cryptocurrencies, rather, in anything else, because I'm seeing such a humongous returns that it'll be, for me, I cannot imagine my assets in traditional assets such as equities, bonds, and whatever that has existed in the market. Um, Going back a little, to what you said, um, we are talking about Pundi X product, but we also want to talk a broader about what's going on in the crypto economy, blockchain, and why it is exploding, and why it is taking the world over. Um, the reason is, and you brought it in your conversation, is the double spending problem. So when people ask, what has actually blockchain done? What has blockchain done that has solved such a huge problem on the internet? Well, the answer is the double spending problem. Um, the double spending problem is essentially um, how easy it is for me to send you email. You could be sitting right next to me. You could be sitting right in Antarctica or wherever you have internet access across the world. I could do it within seconds, but if I were to send you money or anything of value in the same way, I cannot do it. There are various issues. So for instance, most of the transactions today um, happens over Swift, which is an international network, how you move money internationally. Sure, it is expensive and people are ready to pay money for value uh, addition, but even in Swift, when you move money, it takes you more than one day. On an average, it takes 1 to 3 days. Now, if I were to send money from India to London, if I take all the money, put it in the airplane, and fly across me to London, that'll be faster than actually using the current traditional SWIFT system. Um, why is not moving money or moving anything of value as easy as sending an email? It's 2018 now. Um, what blockchain does, it solves that problem of double spending. So double spending in the internet economy is essentially the problem up until before blockchain was assuming there is no third party involved. It's just me speaking in Indonesia where people use IDR, which is Indonesian rupiah,
Peer-to-peer.
and I have INR. Um, I pull up an email and say this email contains something of value, and I say this email is worth 1 rupees, and I send it to him. He receives the email. Now, what is the guarantee or the trustless the system has that he cannot use the same email and send it to 100 people? Because if he takes that email and send it to 100 people, that 1 rupee I send it to him becomes 100 rupees, right? So what can I do to make sure if I send him that 1 rupee value to him, it is ensured in the system that I do not have that value anymore? First. Second, he has that value. And third, he cannot multiply it or send it to like 5 more people. He can only send it to 1 person or keep it with him. Right? So this is the double spending problem we have had. And what blockchain does is it kills that double spending problem. So what they do is a globally distributed ledger. Everyone has it, or whoever wants to have it. And when I send that money from Harish to Kiki, it is recorded in a globally distributed ledger saying the transaction was made. So when that happens, you can ensure that it is trustable, that you don't have to put trust into the other person who is across the planet. And second, it's fast. So Swift, which takes more than 1 to 3 days, and you can transfer your money faster if you just take your money and fly across to London than it is via the Swift network. Via cryptocurrencies, that can be done in a few seconds. So that's one problem blockchain is solving, and that's essentially the double spending problem. And that's why a blockchain and so many cryptocurrencies are coming using this particular technological methodology. Yes, please. Oh, Ripple is a cryptocurrency.
True, true.
Okay, so so I'll get to that, but I'll first answer his question. So his question is essentially, why do we need a cryptocurrency and why we cannot do it in fiat? Well, that raises again and another issue which we are seeing in the market, the state-sponsored cryptocurrencies. Yeah, here. So state-sponsored cryptocurrencies is also something that the government is looking at. Again, what we have right now in the market, it's digital e-cash, but this digital e-cash is essentially derived from fiat currencies. They still do not follow your principles of blockchain and it's not a ledger that everyone has it. It's one country, and when you're moving money abroad, um, other person doesn't have that same ledger. So to have everyone same ledger, it comes to one company, and if that company is Ripple, then be it. It becomes a cryptocurrency, then be it, right? But it has to be somebody. For today, it's Ripple. Tomorrow, it could be Stellar. I don't know, but it has to be. For now, it is one of these cryptocurrencies. Tomorrow, it could be Fedcoin, INR. I don't know, yuan, renminbi. It could be anybody. But today, everyone has that same ledger, and they're moving money. Some companies doing it. Let's call it Ripple. That's it. Now, if it has to be cryptocurrency, that's how it's working. But going back to what you said, um, we come back to the whole thing of what we see in the markets, the state-sponsored cryptocurrencies. A lot of these countries, such as Russia, Venezuela, um, they are already actively sponsored their own cryptocurrencies. Venezuela came up with crypto petro. Russia came with crypto ruble. Um, the reason they came up with these cryptocurrencies are because they have US sanctions on them. So these are countries, these are humans, these are people, they still need to eat food and prosper. Um, they say that, well, US doesn't have any rights to decide what I eat and what I do not eat, how I make money, and I prosper. So they launched a crypto state-sponsored cryptocurrency so that they can bypass these sanctions. So these countries could also grow and prosper, and US is no one to decide who can eat food and who cannot. So that's the idea behind crypto rubles, crypto petrol, essentially to bypass these sanctions so that these people can also prosper. But that's just one utilization of state-sponsored cryptocurrencies, how it is beneficial. Um, would I be okay with that? No. Is there a possibility? Yes. Um, but that said, um, we will come back to you. But that said, what the other advantages that we see is it reduces the cost of running a monetary system. In fact, it is cheaper than running a digital e-cash system because you still have to settle books, go to RBI or central bank to settle your books. Uh, if you become a bank here, you become a miner. To become a bank in the crypto economy is much cheaper than it is to become in a tiered system today. It's faster. Things happen in a lifetime rather in digital e-cash where it is not possible. So these are some of the advantages of state-sponsored cryptocurrencies, which is why we are seeing various central banks across the world, including RBI, Bank of England, Central Bank of Canada, Chinese banks, PBOC. So a lot of these people are also looking into starting their own cryptocurrency and evaluating whether this would be helpful. The people who are doing this first are the people who are most desperate to sustain the economy, such as Venezuela. And essentially, once we see what happens with Venezuela, we will be seeing how other more developed or developing economies would want to bring cryptocurrencies in their economy. So, yeah, go ahead.
Another way of looking at it is like you don't need to involve anybody. It enables peer-to-peer transfer, right? The crypto. You don't need to go to a bank. You don't need to go to Western Union.
You don't need anyone's permission to
Right. You just can send
pursue
the
an
crypto
economic transaction.
right away to an address. And coming back to you about the EDC, I don't think it's allowed yet in India. Correct me if I'm wrong. To pay for goods and services with crypto. So our India version doesn't have the payment feature enabled, just the buy and sell, which is okay. Go ahead, sorry. Mhm. What do you want to use it for? Buy and sell? You want to be a trader basically, right? Yeah, of course. Of course. Yes. Yes, the private key is stored in the server actually. Okay. Oh, okay. The mobile app probably will have that. Right. Um, I'm not very technical, first of all, but I mean, it's as more secure, I mean, compared to your ATM card and your PIN. Yeah, through NFC. Right, but there is this key mechanism that prevents to do that. No, it's not as, the, the coins are stored in our server, not, this is just an access to, right. What is the additional transaction authentication when you do your credit card transaction? PIN, right? Yeah, go ahead. It will. There is one in the mobile app. On the mobile app, yes, but not on the POS. Yeah, so the answer is not on the POS yet, but on the mobile app, yes.
Yeah. So, which is why you are seeing many cryptocurrencies which are only focused on payments. You see, Ethereum wasn't never made for payments only. Ethereum is essentially a platform like Google Store, Apple iStore, on which you can build thousands and thousands of blockchain and decentralized applications, right? So when Ethereum came in the market, they never claimed that we are going to be the best payments network on the planet. They just said, hey, we are here to disrupt and create a platform where you could create many dApps. Um, so sure, Bitcoin has a fundamental problem where at the moment you are seeing a lot of congestion, which is why you see other cryptocurrencies such as Ripple, Stellar Lumens exploding because now they have like what um, 1,500 transactions per second or 15,000 transactions per second on Ripple, which is much more scalable than Bitcoin, which is why you see it's not just one cryptocurrency. It's basically a people who created a technology. One had a fundamental flaw. Other came in saying, "Hey, why don't you use mine? We are much more scalable." Today it's Ripple. It's probably 1,500 or 15,000. Tomorrow, like we feel like even 15,000 is too less. Then comes someone who like with hundreds and thousands of transactions per second capability and like, why don't you use us? Ripple is now outdated. It can happen, or maybe Ripple can just say, hey, we increase our transactions per second limit. The congestion you're talking about, it wasn't there when it started a few years ago. People were using it massive scale, but now that we have like so many people jumping on it, making it the what, like a half a trillion, $1 trillion economy, you'd see um, the scalability issue is coming up because so many people are using it. But again, these are tech firms in one way, and they also keep on improving. So Bitcoin has been working with a Lightning network to implement on its technology, which would essentially increase the transactions per second on the network, which would enable faster transactions and more people being able to do transactions on their platform. But for now, Ripple is the king. And similar cryptocurrencies, which is why people are making big bets on which cryptocurrency could be the next big payments network. And for now, it looks like one of these. Well, as I said, it's just the all cryptocurrencies are not just disrupting payments. If payments was the only thing, sure, maybe transactions per second was the only thing people would be looking at. I don't know. But all I'm saying is that all cryptocurrencies, they aren't just focused on payments or increasing the transactions per second. So for instance, Binance, it's a cryptocurrency. It's not made for payments. It is an exchange, which for now is the largest exchange on the planet. And they are doing crypto to crypto transactions um, on the exchange, but it was never made to facilitate um, payments. It's just one sort of cryptocurrency, but it was never made to increase the transactions per second in the economy.
There is this recently an ICO called Kitty Coin. Anybody hear about it? It broke Ethereum for 3 days. Everybody bought it. So, right. So those are things that, like Harry said, will be improved by the Ethereum network and so on. Nothing we can do. So, PXS. Right. So I'm coming to that. Good question. So any transaction here will not have that problem. Buy, sell, and payment, because we have reserve of all the coins traded here, right? So we guarantee like 60 seconds or less. But when you want to transfer out your coin outside our environment to somebody else, then that's beyond our control. I mean, in terms of settlement time, ending time. Yeah. They can choose either a fiat only or fiat and whatever crypto it is received, right? Because we have like at the moment already 6 cryptos. Is it all 6 in their original coin or just one in Bitcoin, for example? Yeah, exchange charge, yeah. Yeah, very little. It's called the gas, right? That's that's for our company, and we burn the gas, so there's less and less coin. So hopefully the value of the coin will go up, right? But most of the fees will go to who operates this, which is the store, right? So we want everybody to who operates this to make money. Right, right, right. Good question. Cannot, but this is aimed for the novice user, right? If you are already familiar with the exchange, then you probably will go to the exchange. But you can transfer whatever some coins that you have to this card, right? For daily transaction. Not all, right? So you can spend your coin. Can you spend your coin in exchange? No, right? You can only trade, right? So send some of your coins to your account at Pundi X. Then you can do so many other things with your coin. No, no.
Yeah, this is not a wallet or an exchange such as Binance or GRAX or CoinEx or one of these exchanges like Coin. This is essentially serving another purpose. And to get to your point where you mentioned that people are only using it for investments, that's actually not true. Uh, because what you fundamentally believe that cryptocurrencies have only one use case and that's investments. No, investments is just one way you could get. You would want exposure to this particular economy, but people are actually using it in the day-to-day lives for various reasons. So for one instance, one example I would like to give you is uh, one of the biggest, one of the most clear use of cryptocurrencies, especially the ones which are only focused on storing value, which a lot of these are, um, is the offshore banking system, among the many. Offshore banking system, in a base case, is a $20 trillion economy. Um, and some people even estimate that it is as big as 20 to 40 trillion dollars. And a lot of big corporations, billionaires, use their money to store money offshore. And this is not just done to dodge taxes. So even companies like Facebook, Google, Amazon, they store money offshore. So the reason they do it is because they want to make sure that one particular judge do not freeze all the assets globally just because of stupid thing they did in Berlin, right? So when you have money stored offshore, it becomes money or storage of value that is resistant to seizure, and nobody can take it from you.
You should move all your coins to Pundi X, so
So
it's safe.
yeah, so the idea really behind is that now you're storing value where nobody can seize it from you. So currently, the crypto market is what, at half a trillion to $1 trillion range. So we believe that once it gets a huge adoption, and people find that now is the time to, and it happens in waves. It happens in phases. It wouldn't happen today. It's one, tomorrow it's 40 trillion, but it will happen. We believe that the market is headed towards $50 trillion market at least for many use cases, but one because of offshore banking, which is about 20 to 40. So it is going to go up, like 20 to 40 trillion dollars usage at one point in future, where people would, instead of storing money in Switzerland, Panama, Cayman, which are not as safe anymore as it was previously. So this economy becomes the go-to economy to store your value, and which is why you would see a huge appreciation of the token economy to convert it to what, $1 trillion to become into multi trillion dollars. And my estimate is at least 50, depending on so many things that's going on. So no, it's not just for investments. It has many use cases, and one of the many use cases is investments. If that answers your question.
No, the minimum will be when you buy maybe yeah, it's minimum 1,000 rupiah, which is basically same minimum like when you pay with your credit card. What's the minimum? That's the minimum, right? Yeah, pin. So yeah, it's the pin also. Yeah, for card, right?
It it has to do a lot with regulations. You cannot just move $1 trillion to India to Switzerland. Even today, you need approval from like the big guy, RBI. But that said, to answer your question, the simple answer is you cannot do it without regulations. But still, people are still doing it in small quantities. But in future, once this is regulated, and once people get approval from the big guys and the regulators, It has to happen. It will happen, and people will be doing it on cryptocurrencies. So regulations.
Haris, I think they cannot wait to see our device. So let me show you. Then we can continue. So this is the device. This is the Indian version, which takes ENR. I brought the Indonesian version. Fortunately, both are not allowed to make purchases. Right? So I'll just show you how to buy. Right? Later on, I have a video of how do you make for some like playing coffee. Okay, let's say now we have Bitcoin and the other currency, Ethereum. Can you see? Litecoin, RAM, and Qtum. Okay. So assume this is already activated, right? Card, this is your card. You can check. Oh, it's not connected to Wi-Fi.
So yeah, the whole blockchain system, blockchain technological methodology. One thing is assume that you need internet. Without internet, it cannot function. So if you don't have internet, forget blockchain and cryptocurrencies.
Oh, to make a payment, yes, because you need to sell it. Go ahead, go ahead. Let me figure this.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. So his question is, why is the Indian government not legalizing this, right? Right. So one concern the Indian government has is that this could be used as a currency, which becomes a parallel currency to INR. Um, if the government, the RBI, has its own currency that people want, people, RBI wants the citizens of India to be using. So obviously, it wouldn't want a competing cryptocurrency. But as we um, see in the markets, so for instance, Microsoft recently, like last week, discontinued the usage of Bitcoins on its platform it was using because it's not usable. Why is it not usable? Well, first of all, due to congestions, it takes forever to perform a transaction. And second, because of fluctuations. So by the time I finish talking, it's already moved like 5%, 10%. And if you're moving so much in such a short time, you cannot perform transactions. Um, so to answer your question right now, uh, the biggest concern to the Indian government, I guess, is it acts as a competitive currency where it is easier to pursue money laundering without KYC concerns. But as we move further in the economy, we see that it's not as easy to use some of these cryptocurrencies as a legal tender to pay for your stuff. But depending on how this is termed, how this is um, comes up in future, the Indian government will decide whether this is a security, commodity, currency, or some other new stuff, whatever they call. But so how are the regulations like? What's going on in Indonesia regarding the cryptocurrency regulations?
Very similar to India. They allow buy and sell as digital goods at your own risk, right? But you cannot pay anything with crypto. So very similar to India. But in some location, people still do it anyway. Like in Bali, I mean, the rule doesn't apply there.
Yeah, yes, please. Okay, so before we get into that, what you essentially mean is that cryptocurrencies are easy to bypass regulations, right? And if that happens, the government will start losing taxes. Well, one thing that you need to know about cryptocurrencies, other than a few ones, um, that cryptocurrencies are not anonymous, it's pseudonymous, which means if I have 1 crore sitting in my bank, sitting in my suitcase right now, I give it to you. The government doesn't have any way to track that particular transaction, which means if I give 1 CR to you right now, it's anonymous. But in cryptocurrency, that's not possible. If you make a transaction, unless you're talking about anonymous cryptocurrency, so the transactions are not anonymous, it's pseudonymous. So it might not say Rahul or Raj, but it has some identity via which so many hacks have happened and people bought cryptocurrencies. So when they were trying to encash it, they got caught by, like your Interpol, FBI, CBI, whoever. But they got caught because cryptocurrencies are not, as I said, very trackable um, in some cases, but also trackable in other cases. I hope does that answer your question. And regarding regulations, see at the end of the day, you would still need to convert your cryptocurrencies in a more usable asset. In that particular cases, the government will come in to regulate exchanges, or they might just launch their own cryptocurrencies, such as Lakshmi, which the Indian government at one point was talking about or considering, or even if they're considering right now, we don't know. It's all behind the um, curtains, but they really like the technology. They believe that this is very disruptive, very convenient, very helpful. They want to adopt it. They do not want to ban innovation. They will promote it, but in a more regulatory way, just like what happened with internet, right? When Facebook, Google came in, China banned everything. So even today, like you cannot use Facebook, Google, etc. In China, but in India, um, these people are still using it. In one way, they are regulated. They have to comply with local laws. They cannot just do anything, whatever they want. So the government did embrace the technology. So what I'm trying to say is, when you talk about cryptocurrencies, the regulators they want to use the technology for the benefits of the ecosystem and the economy, but they also want to make sure that it's regulated so that it doesn't defy any existing laws. Um, Zug, Switzerland, Zug, One mic left, the other mic is not working, so we have to coordinate accordingly. Okay, so it really depends on crypto to crypto. If you're talking about something like Ripple, since you mentioned it, it's simple economics, right? Uh, the demand and supply. The market, the consensus is what um, decides what's the price of a certain cryptocurrency. So if you're talking about why Ripple is so high, why Bitcoin is so high or low, whatever it is, it depends on the storage of value or essentially what's the demand, how much people are trying to buy, how much people are trying to sell. If more people are selling, prices go down. If more people are buying and storing it, uh, prices go up. Regarding the value of the startup attached to particular cryptocurrency, that is also true. But as I said, it depends on crypto to crypto. So for instance, there's this particular cryptocurrency called Binance Coin. So Binance Coin, it's not just about, sure, it is the value of that Binance Coin is um, decided by the demand and supply, but that demand and supply is essentially comes from what's going on with the Binance exchange, how well it is doing. So for instance, it just launched like in July was last year, and now it's like doing trading of more than $6 billion per day, or like $5 to $7 billion range, and sometimes it even reaches like $10 billion per day. A startup that was started 6 months ago is doing an exchange volume transactions of $6 billion per day after doing an ICO. How did it happen? Uh, Essentially, it has a utility case. Now, that utility case, people see it, which is how they derive value to that particular Binance coin. So the demand of that goes high. The demand goes high because they're seeing that the exchange is doing very well. So in this case, it could be as simple as a security, like an equity. But in other cryptocurrencies, it's the market, what's going on. It's like if we're talking about Bitcoin, it doesn't have that particular startup going behind it. It's all about how many people are trying to jump in, what's when people are buying, what's the availability in the market, and so on. So me too. Absolutely, there is. Um, Sure. See, first of all, I wouldn't generalize. I haven't. What I get a sense of what you're trying to do is you're trying to take a principle from equity research and then pump it into the cryptocurrency market entirely, and they say, okay, whatever the future cash flow and like discount rate, present value, terminal value, and then you decide the valuation of this particular cryptocurrency. Well, there is a possibility of that, but then again, um, it depends. My answer is. So, for instance, when we are looking at something like Binance, right, the value is derived from what's going on in the exchange. So you can use your fundamental valuation principle of discounted cash flow in the Binance coin, but Bitcoin, which is more used as a gold, you cannot say, oh my God, gold is going to give us so much cash flow in the future. So which is how we will be deriving the value there, right? So to answer your question in short, I wouldn't generalize all of the assets. All of these assets are not just cryptocurrency payments. These can be used as in various use cases. So it's not just payments. The cryptocurrency markets are disrupting. They have real use cases. So these could be security tokens like equity, or these could be utility tokens um, where you're using the coins in the market in that particular startup. So which is how you are able to derive value. I wouldn't take one valuation principle and use it to find the value of all of these digital assets or cryptocurrencies or tokens. Each security is different, just like how you value various assets differently. So when you are valuing FX, which is your traditional cash and fiat, you don't use the DCF model in FX. Same with commodities, right? But the idea being that you not use the same valuation model to generalize to find value or particular unit price of a commodity, FX, equity, bond, whatever it is. So I wouldn't take the valuation model of DCF and thrust it into all of these things that are available in the market. That helps.
Popu- popul- Popularity, basically, market maker, supply and demand. No, basically, how much people are willing to pay for it. Yeah. Hmm? Okay. That I can answer. I'm just going through an ICO. We do a pre-ICO in October, and then we have an extended ICO in November. First of all, you have to be very lucky. We were very lucky. At that time, Ethereum was 300. So we sold out our budget for pre-ICO and extended ICO. Today, the Ethereum that we held is 1200. So we almost sold out already. We haven't started our ICO, right? So what I'm saying is, as always, you have to be lucky. Secondly, yeah, right, yeah. Secondly, you have to be have to have a damn good white paper, right? What is your use case, right? When people read it, I mean, is it just another loyalty program, for example? I mean, it needs to solve something real, right? It's not just like a copycat of other ICOs, right? And you really need to describe, you're raising $40 million, for example. What do you use the $40 million for? Like if you just put, oh, I'm gonna buy a server, 5 million. I'm gonna develop the system, 10 million. I mean, it has to be more detailed than that, and that has to make sense.
Just sorry to cut you, but we are running out of time, so we only have like few minutes.
Okay,
So we can just wrap it up as quick as possible.
Oh, okay. Mm, mm, okay. Okay, like any other IPO or ICO, right? First, do you have the support from the government, right? I mean, people will look at that, right? I mean, if you get the money, what is your ability to execute? I mean, it's not really typical to ICO. It's just like any other project or initiative, right?
Yes. So I will substantiate a little
Oh, yeah,
with what you said. See, at the end of the day, it's business. And if you're talking about, say, banks, right? There's not only one bank in the market. It's called ICICI Bank. There are like hundreds, or what, tens? Yes Bank, this bank, my bank, your bank. There are like hundreds of banks in the market. So even if someone is using a Me Too business model and launching it, the idea is, can you survive? So even with some storing memory coins such as Storj, Filecoin, they're like many cryptocurrencies which are essentially doing the same thing. And all of these are very reputed projects, and people behind are very successful.
Okay.
So the idea being, can you use a Me Too business model and be successful? Absolutely yes. And if your proposition is that, hey, you should participate in my ICO because I give you 40% returns, well, sure. If you can sell that and people buy it and people see the value in the startup you're creating, people will give money, right? Because at the end of the day, everyone is looking for returns, investors especially. So if investors is putting in money, And if you say, I can make you money, this is how I can make you money. This is my white paper. This is my idea. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what I've achieved in the past. This is my team. And you give a description and you sell people on the idea, and the people believe that this is something that has some value in the future, they will participate in your ICO. So to answer your question, yes.
Yes, please be optimistic.
So we can take one last question, and after which we are done. So if you have anything, let us know.
Well, in Russia, there is 100 ICO per week. Why not try one in India?
Okay, cool. So thanks so much, guys, for coming in. If you have any questions,
you
just
so
directly
much.
come to us. We'll be here for the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, thank you.
Um,
guys.
but once again, thanks so much for coming in. A big
so
round
much.
of
Thank you.
applause for Kiki.
Thank you, Haris.
And thanks so much.